And Chief Cook County Circuit Judge Timothy Evans is joining us right now. He's on the ballot to remain on the bench for another 10 years. He became a circuit judge in 1992. He's held the chief judge position since 2001. Your Honor, thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, Mike, it's a pleasure to be here. I want to say one thing.
Yeah.
We are on for retention for really 6 years.
6 years.
The appellate courts, the reviewing courts, are there for 10 years.
Well, thank you for correcting us. Now we've got that straight, so now you know.
I wish it would
yeah,
continue. Don't get me wrong.
Well, let's start off by talking about something that's been a big issue in Cook County and across the state. The SAFE-T Act takes effect January 1st. However, it can be amended. I know you've said that. A lot of people don't understand it. They're getting bits and pieces from these political ads. But Cook County has had a bail reform in place for a while now. Explain it, what you like about it, what you don't like about it, what are some of the misconceptions?
Well, certainly what we've had is a recognition that cash bail is not the best way to determine who is going to be a safety-oriented person out in the public or a person who might pursue other negative activities. And the real thing is this, and I want the public to know this. I don't want them to worry. I don't want them to panic. There's not going to be some kind of a purge activity going on. Yes, that statute might be amended between now and the first of the year. It could be amended in the veto session. But here's the main law. The Salerno case in 1987 was established by the United States Supreme Court. And it says, during the pretrial phase of somebody's case, after they've been charged with a crime, they have an absolute right to be released and prepare for their defense, with only two exceptions. First, if they are a clear and present danger, threat to the public, they can be kept in jail. Or if there is some kind of a flight risk, if they're planning to take a plane and not be in court when they're supposed to be, then they can be kept pre-trial.
And that's up to the Cook County State's Attorney, right?
That is correct. You're absolutely right. Most people don't know that.
Yeah.
The state's attorney has to file a petition before somebody can be detained. But even after the petition is filed, there has to be sufficient evidence, and that evidence goes into those two exceptions that I'm talking about. Otherwise, it is the presumption of innocence that they have a right to embrace. And therefore, they can prepare their case, they can get their witnesses, they can be in a position where they can defend themselves from the charge.
And I know that the Cook County State's Attorney is trying to reform a lot of the bail reform program that you have. And Mayor Lightfoot is opposed to a lot of the things going on, too. How do you separate politics from the justice system?
It's very easy for me. The law. The law cuts it right down the middle. Doesn't matter who the personalities are. Doesn't matter who's elected to this and who's elected to that in terms of the law. We have to follow the law. And that's another good point. The court does not make the law. The court follows the law. We interpret the law. The state legislature makes the law. And whatever that law is, we take an oath to follow it. And so that's why I say there might be many changes between now and January 1st, and I don't want the public to be worried about it. There won't be any purge. We're not going to let all the people walk out of the cells and commit all kinds of crime. No, they don't have to worry about that.
You're on the ballot to be retained. You need 60% of the vote to do that. A lot of aldermen are kind of opposed to that. They're telling people don't vote for you. They're blaming crime on you in their neighborhoods.
They don't understand the law, and I respect them. I know they're concerned about crime in their neighborhood, and what they don't realize is we are enforcing the law by making certain that the law is followed. And the problem is there is no accountability at the pretrial stage. Accountability takes place after the trial, after a person has been convicted and found guilty beyond a reasonable doubt.
But they're saying a lot of people are getting out, even though they've been accused of crimes before being arrested for this particular crime.
Right, and the way that works is this. You use the term accused, not convicted. In Chicago, you can be accused of anything. That doesn't mean you did anything wrong. There is the right to a full trial. That's when you're held accountable. And only then can you be held accountable. People say, well, are these judges too lenient? Let me tell you, the average case of murder results in a conviction, and they serve 35 years, up as high as 80 years. That's not being a lenient judge. That's being a fair judge. But you're making certain that the law is followed in court. And that's what these judges are all about. Irrespective of whether my friends in the city council know that or my friends in the county board know that, we're here to tell them. And you're giving me this opportunity to talk to your listening and vision audience.
The Juvenile Temporary Detention Center got into a lot of hot water over the summer, but you put together a group to change things. How did it get so bad in the first place?
Well, what happens is this. These young people come in. Most people don't understand. They're not considered adolescents, but they have the same problems that adolescents have. They're sensation seeking. They're very vulnerable to their peers. And so when people see that they've committed a crime, they said, okay, hey, I caught this guy, let's throw away the key. No, no. Cook County, 100 years ago, found out that we have to treat juveniles differently than adults. They're not little adults. Yeah. And they still have a chance if we give them that chance. And so that's what happens in JTDC. The ones who have to be locked up, here's what we do.
Well, when will we start seeing changes?
Immediately, already.
Okay.
The allegation was that there was isolation, too much isolation. So we've changed that. Instead of them going to bed at 7 o'clock p.m., no more. They are up from 7 to 9:45, and they're going to be dealing with trauma-informed care. We're going to be having the experts come in and give them an opportunity to continue to develop, express themselves, talk about what they'd like to do. Give them that second chance, give them the cognitive behavioral therapy that they deserve, and give them a chance to come back to the community as a contributing citizen, not as a convicted felon.
Chief Judge, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, it's a pleasure.
Same here. Have a good weekend.
2-1-7.
We'll be right back with a look at sports. Had to get that